Hey, middle school volunteers. Man, I am so excited for this Sunday night. We are going to continue in our series called Under the Microscope, where this week what we're going to do is, last week Chris was kind of focusing on the fact that all creation points to a creator. And this week we're going to take that idea and what we're going to do is walk through a little bit more of scientific history, how there was so many Christians that were scientists. So many scientific Christians, we'll put it that way. And they were studying science because it helped them understand the Creator. And then we're going to take it into the Enlightenment and say, like, okay, what happened? Why did this eventually start to separate? And it's because some scientists stopped looking at science for the sake of understanding the Creator, but instead just for the sake of understanding. And what ended up happening, and this is what we're going to really kind of drill down into, is that faith is important for answering why questions, and science is important for answering how questions. And we're going to take one big example. We're going to take the arching theme, the biggest why question out there is, why do humans exist? And we're basically going to pose this question to both scientific reasoning without religion involved and religion. And we're going to kind of examine, and basically, in an overarching sense, we're going to examine hedonism versus the glorification of a deity, of God. And we're going to see that, when we begin to glorify God, because that's our purpose, we do that by learning about his creation. And so the fact that these two things answer different questions for us doesn't mean that they have to stay separate. Instead, we can actually start to intertwine them and create an even more beautiful picture. Because if we have the why question of why did God make the sky blue? And then we find out, oh, the sky is blue because light is getting reflected at this certain frequency and we're understanding it through our eyes in this certain way, then it just starts to help us even glorify God more. It's like, wow, God did all of that work, all of that foundation laying so that the sky would be blue. That's incredible. And it helps us glorify God even more. And so that's the way that we're going to be tying all of this together, is that they serve different purposes, but when they are brought together, it creates something amazing. And so what I want you to do, what I want you to be thinking of this week, we're going to continue with this model of doing small group before the message. And some of you were talking about doing small group before the message, some after. One idea that I'm playing with the logistics of it, of the idea being do a little bit of small group and then a little bit the message and then a little bit more small group. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Really, frankly, at this point, there's kind of two big things that I'm thinking about as I'm processing through how we do this. One is the idea of who our middle school students are. Kind of their maturation process. As they're maturing, as they're growing up, if we were to do small group before the message and they were to go through our youth ministry for 7 years, that means that 3 years they're spending with you as a volunteer, as a small group leader. For 3 years, they're getting to constantly voice their thought and just be heard. And we're constantly asking them, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because middle schoolers are full of all of these concrete thoughts and wanting to just get it off their chest. And maybe they're really awesome thoughts that have been processed. Maybe for some of our middle schoolers, they're really off the cuff, kind of stupid, not thought through thoughts. We've all experienced those moments to where you're like, can you say that again? Think through it this time. But for 3 years, you are just listening to them. For 3 years, you're gaining so much relational capital. And then they get into high school, and then for 4 years, you're pouring into them. Because for 3 years, you just took on all of what's going on in their life, all of their thoughts, all of their opinions on so many different matters and subjects and topics and ideas of spirituality. And then for 4 years, you're pouring into them. And so conceptually, that sounds like it could be something. Like it could be something really special. And so that's one part of what I'm thinking through with this, that I like this. I think it could work. The second part, and I'll be completely honest with you, it's logistics. I love preaching to our middle schoolers, to our high schoolers. And with this method that we're doing right now, I can actually be in both rooms on the same night. And I don't have to schedule a guest speaker, because I've quickly discovered scheduling guest speakers for middle school or high school, it's tough work, man. Sunday nights are a busy time around Westminster, and with people being involved in all sorts of different ministries like Alpha and Awana and CR and Reengage, like there's a lot happening. And so getting volunteers, getting people that are interested in preaching, it's tough. And so there's that part of it as well. I'll sacrifice that in a heartbeat if you guys think that what we're doing isn't working, that we need to have small groups where you get to invest in students. That's the method that I've always seen, that I've always experienced. I love that method, but I'm willing to really tinker with stuff and see what works, if something works better. So give me all your thoughts on that. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. And with all that being said, guys, thank you for everything you do, the way that you invest in these kids and pour your lives out into their lives. And I love getting to serve with you. Can't wait to serve with you this Sunday night.